Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast. We run down all of the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our website from the past 7 days. And it's been a ridiculously busy last couple of days, last couple of weeks really, since the new year. The traffic on the site is ridiculously large. Everything seems to be on the up and innovation is just coming left and right. I notoriously say we probably share maybe 60-70% of what we get sent. So even though we try and keep up with everything that's happening and post it all on the website, so website's the place where everything gets put up online, there's a lot of things that go unnoticed, but we do try our best to highlight the things we think are most important to see, such as innovations, reformulations, completely new entries, new brands. Sometimes if someone will send us something like, hey, we've got a new 150 gram size of our unflavored creatine, might give that a miss. Sometimes they'll say, hey, we've got a fruit punch flavor of, this pre-workout we've had for 10 years. Might give that a miss. So those kinds of things, we try and place priority on areas we know, or we can actually see what you view and what people look at. So we try and put it all up there. We have been keeping up as best we can, pushing it to our maximum amount of stories per day. And this is all in combination with the Arnold Sports Festival, which is right around the corner. Coming up in about 6 or 7 weeks, I think it is. It is shaping up to be a beast. We've filled out our main area. We've got plenty of new companies and brands we're going to be announcing over the next few weeks that are going to be there. We've been a bit slow on that. Sometimes we do 2 a week, sometimes we do one. I think we might have skipped a week. But rest assured, it's going to be a packed house. The event is anticipating around 100,000 people, if not more. And even though the Stack Pavilion will be jacked to hell, there'll be plenty of other things to see at the convention itself. So for that, be sure to check out our website and all of that. And we're going to get into the news stories, starting off with something from the team over at who, if you have ever seen a European selection of supplements, if you haven't, take the time to do so. Just go to myprotein.com. Make sure you're looking at the European version, not the US one, and you will shit a brick because the amount of products they have to choose from is insane. And it's not just the products. You will find a lot of their popular ones, specifically protein powders, will have not just 1, 2, sometimes 3 or more sizes. And then the menus, the flavors, my God, if I remember, their Impact Whey protein has like over 50. And it's not really even that common for brands in the US to have 10. Usually 5 is fairly typical, 10 to 20 occasionally. But it's very common in Europe, including MyProtein, to have just ridiculous amounts, which also makes it difficult to come out with new flavors and keep things exciting. However, MyProtein does tend to do that quite a lot, actually. They tend to be pretty into it and onto it when it comes to innovations on the flavor side of things. And they have just done that with their flagship protein powder, Impact Whey Protein. In amongst all the other flavors on the menu are now 2 new tastes. And they are called, vanilla honeycomb and chocolate caramel. Now they sound like something that you probably would have seen before with the amount of flavors they have to choose from. However, there is a twist to these. Both of them jam-packed full of crunchy biscuit inclusions. So there are a lot of the flavors on the MyProtein menu. In fact, might be all of them, are just your standard flavors. I don't mean like standard as in the level, but just sort of just standard as in they are just the flavor. As far as I know, there might be some, I'm not too sure, that have that inclusion side to them. But that's what these 2, chocolate caramel and vanilla honeycomb, do. They have just packed it out with these 2. Both have the same biscuit pieces, and obviously that does add to the nutrition. So while you still get a lean source of protein, they are a bit different on the nutrition balance in terms of protein to calorie ratio. But yes, you can grab those now. I believe they're over in the UK and Europe, so not in the US line if I checked. The next story we're going to go to, and we do have a lot, so there's a lot. While I've said there's a lot of stories from the last 7 days, the last 2 weeks, we will be trying to just cover a good range of them. And the next product we're going to touch on, and this is a very interesting product, one that I think a lot of people just sort of need to kind of understand. So huge nutrition or huge supplements, however you want to refer to it as, they just came out with a new version of their arachidonic acid supplement. I think you pronounce it arachidone. Arachidone. And so it's standalone arachidonic acid. Now, the original was in capsule format. And this is a very interesting thing that you might not know about the ingredient arachidonic acid. It is one of my favorites. I love the ability to sort of just maximize inflammation and just really kind of allow you to feel a little more in each workout and get a little more in terms of encouraging recovery. It's always been great to me. I've always found great results on it, and it's not necessarily for everyone, but it is a favorite of mine. Now, the twist with arachidonic acid is if you get it in capsule or powder format, so any format that's not soft gel, it is a different standardization. Now, sometimes you will see a supplement that has arachidonic acid, but doesn't have the standardization on the label. Now, you might think they maybe just didn't want to put it on there or whatever. As far as I know, the powder or capsule version has a 10% standardization, which means that if you have, let's say, a gram, you're really getting 100 milligrams. Now, the typical dose is around a gram to 1.5, but if you get 1.5 grams of this in capsules, that would equate to 150 milligrams at that 10% standardization. In the soft gel format, which is the one you get from S&S X Gels, is a great one. There's a couple other good ones out there. That's the one that I commonly use when I need it. That is soft gel. That standardization is 40%. Now, you are correct in assuming that means that you get 4 times as much. So from a gram of that arachidonic acid, you would get 400 milligrams. Now, so you can understand how it drastically plays a role. So if you see a capsule or a powder that says 1.5, that is not 1.5 of like the dose you may know of. At least, unless it's like 10 capsules or whatever the hell it would equate to be. It's not what you're thinking of it is. And I think X Gels from Serious Nutrition Solutions does precisely that. It outlines how much of the actual thing you're getting. And so Huge Supplements has just relaunched arachidone, and they have made that switch. So previously it was capsules, now it's soft gels. And they didn't actually say the standardization on the previous one, but you now get the 40%. And I'm trying to remember how much it is. Yeah, so you get 200 milligrams per soft gel of the new arachidone, which means you'd have to have 5 to get to that gram mark, 7 for 1.4 and so on. I never usually go over 1.5, but around a gram to a 1.5 is pretty solid. And so, yeah, it's a drastic difference. And even though you might look at it and think it's maybe dosage-wise, it's not as great a value, that you need to understand the standardization factor is a huge thing. And it plays a big role in compared to value. And just consumption of having to have enough capsules to get that right amount is a tricky one. But yeah, you can check out the new Huge Supplements arachidone on the website. It's a pretty solid supplement. A great move to the soft gel format, because again, it's a tricky thing if you're just looking at the ingredient on paper. Next up, we're going to jump over to Nutrex, who has just come out with, is about to come out with a new version or a revamped version of their long-running pre-workout Outrage. This is a high stimulant pre-workout from way back in the day. I'm pretty sure our earliest mention of the supplement was 10 years ago, so a decade ago. It has obviously chopped and changed throughout the years. There was even an Outrage shot at one point. And it is, as far as I know, what hasn't been available. More recently, they have now revamped it. They're about to relaunch it. Today's Tuesday, so tomorrow. This is probably going to go on Wednesday, so today. And the formulas, it's a blend, 4.5 gram blend. And it's not exactly like it's not a fully transparent supplement. So you get the 4.5 gram blend, breaks down to beta-alanine, citrulline, creatine, caffeine, synephrine, tyrosine, skullcap, dendrobium, alpha-yohimbine, then yohimbine. Now, all of that is in the 4.5 gram blend. And it doesn't, obviously, you aren't going to get the full dosages of the likes of beta-alanine and creatine. Let's do the math in your head. Beta-alanine is usually 3.2, citrulline, let's say you prefer it 6, and creatine, let's say you go for 3, that comes out to 12.2 grams, right? So that alone, so the overall blend of this is 4.5. So you're not going to get full dosages of that. But with that said, that's not necessarily the point of Outrage. Outrage is all about intense energy and focus, and it's doing it at a solid price point. So realistically, the key players here is the caffeine, pretty much everything below the creatine. So you've got the caffeine, the synephrine, the dendrobium, and the alpha-yo and yohimbine there to pack a punch. And I suspect this is indeed going to do what it wants to do, and that's pack a punch, pack some intense energy and focus. Nutrex is known to be able to do that, and I don't foresee it missing on that. And so yeah, the thing is if this was the only pre-workout from a brand, and I've mentioned this a few times, if a brand just has one pre-workout and they don't really have that variety, and let's just say they do offer a blend, and then they just, they don't make it cost effective or whatever, it's a little bit rough. But this is coming from Nutrix. Nutrix makes Outlift. They have a fully dosed pre-workout. They have an alternative if you want those full dosages and less, I guess, more moderate stimulation. Outlift Clinical is what you're after, because it does have I think it's 6 grams of citrulline, might even be 8. I think it might actually be 8. 3 grams of creatine beta is in there as well. So if you want that stuff, they offer it. Outrage is not necessarily for that, or at least it's not going to stand up next to the likes of Outlift Clinical. This is purely for a good kick, a good hit of energy, especially with Alpha Yo, him being caffeine and dendrobium in the mix. And the caffeine we do know is at 400 milligrams. Everything else is non-transparent. That's the one thing we do know. So that also means that everything underneath it is dosed under 400 milligrams. So if you look at the label on the site, you'll see it. But yeah, and the thing is the price on this, I believe, is meant to be around $34.99. And they said that they were going to do an introductory deal that could get you 35% off. Now, if it is $35, we get that 35% off. This is a damn cost-effective supplement coming in at just over $20. It's very rare you see something around the $20 mark. Even the best of the mainstream cost-effective pre's don't get near that marker. So this is 30 servings for that price. It's about right what you'd expect with the ingredients that are in there and the goal that they're trying to achieve. And it's a great alternative. Like I said, if you want Outlift Clinical full dosages, you can go have at it. But if you prefer that more stimulant slapping factor, a reputation, again, Nutrix is built and known for from the DMAA days, Outrage is the way to go. And at that price point, you could grab the two and just kind of switch them back and forth. So yeah, you can check it out for more information on the site, and that is launching tomorrow, or what will technically be today. Next up, we're going to shoot over to EHP Labs, who has done something very, very interesting. They launched a product called OxyShred Infinity. Now, the top of the can says non-stim, and immediately when I saw this, I was like, oh wow, they're doing the dream, right? Everyone's been wanting Monster Ultra without the caffeine. Well, not everyone. I've always wanted it, but so I thought this was like a caffeine-free OxyShred, right? Same great taste, no caffeine. It's quite the opposite. It is an infinity version. And so as I said, the name of the product is OxyShred Infinity. This is made with Infinity, which is the paraxanthine. The paraxanthine is a metabolite of caffeine. So it offers similar energy to caffeine without that kind of, I guess, huge hit. At least that's my experience with paraxanthine. So it takes away the kind of the energy kick, and it still provides a good amount of energy, especially at the same dose. So 300 caffeine versus 300 of this. And it just carries you much longer. It gives you that same energy strength, I would say. And so yeah, OxyShred Infinity is pretty much that. The OxyShred Infinity energy drink is Infinity paraxanthine powered energy. And interestingly, that's not really all that's there to it. In combination with that, they also throw in alpha-GPC, theanine, tyrosine, chromium, vitamins, decaffeinated green tea, and carnitine tartrate. And there are actually some interesting dosages. The theanine's 150, alpha-GP's 400. They've got some pretty solid ingredients alongside the Infinity. And I was very surprised that this is a little more than just an Infinity version of the OxyShred energy drink. It is really a multi-benefit, more advanced style thing, like a nootropic drink. So you still get the energy with the Infinity, not the caffeine anhydrous, and then you also get the nootropics playing a big role. I would suspect they would play a big role with the alpha-GPC in the mix and a few other of the components. And it's out now in Australia. So it's a nice alternative if you're looking for, I guess, less kick, similar energy, similar strength as the OxyShred energy drink, and you don't mind having that, well, you would appreciate the nootropic effect, the focus and clarity. It's very similar, I guess, to, not too similar, but like along the same lines as how you had C4 energy drink, C4 Smart Energy. This would be the Smart Energy, I guess, variant to the OxyShred energy drink, but it is reliant on that premium Infinity paraxanthine. Again, now out and available in Australia. I don't know when it's coming or if it's coming here, but you've got 3 flavors: peach mango, sparkling apple, and strawberry sunrise, all keeping it guilt-free with next to no nutrition. And yeah, nice different can, so it does stand out and you won't necessarily confuse the two. The next story we're going to jump over to is our brand of the year. That was announced last week. I'm pretty sure I alluded to it, but our brand of the year is none other than Ghost. Probably trying to briefly trim this down, but I don't think enough can be said about what Ghost did. And I mentioned this to a few people. They did something that you kind of just, we hadn't seen. Now, Ghost has won brand of the year before when on its rise, which tends to be around the time a lot of brands pick up innovation and kind of stand out and do things that attract our attention for the award. So Ghost won it back then, 2020, I think it was, or 2021. Pretty sure it was 2020. They put on a stellar show. 4 years after their debut, I think they were a 2016 brand. So they have come a long way since then with the energy drink, the rise in hydration. And typically when you get to a size, innovation slows, creativity slows, the boundaries, the barriers aren't pushed as much. You tend to get like just, okay, cool, the brand's built to this size, it got to this size doing what it does. It almost feels like when brands do that, they get to a point where like, why would I do more if I've been able to build to this height doing this and I'm offering this and I'm at this level, why would I offer anything else? And it's not to say that doesn't work. That obviously does work with a lot of big companies doing that. Now, Ghost has really kind of broken the mold. Despite the size that it is, we mentioned this in the post. I don't even know if I actually have the summary in front of me. They entered something like, I can't remember what it was. Did like 2 new formats. They did a high sports drink. They did their first ever functional food. They did a whole bunch of flavors for their energy drink. They did special edition reskins. They did a bunch of flavors for their supplements, many of them collaborations. They reformulated several of their popular supplements, including Legend All Out, Ghost Size, and even Ghost Burn. And then they also, again, this was on top of everything else they did. They went out and they launched the completely original flavor of the Ghost Energy drink, exclusive on-premises only flavor that's now about to get a public launch. And then they entered the sleep category, they entered the joint category, and they entered the intra-workout space. And it was those 3 that really, really kind of impressed me the most, especially the intra-workout and the joint. It is almost unheard of to take a complex approach, or at least sell a supplement at the price that they did in Ghost Joint of that type, right? Most brands that do joints go low, go medium, sub $20. It is what it is. And especially at the size that they are, it's very rare you want to put together a premium supplement for that area. It shows obviously a sign that this is an important area of your life. Like this is a key area, joint health. And then they also did it for intra-workout, a category that is almost no longer really used. It's now you just have hydration supplements and aminos, and that's what you have during your workout. That category is no longer called intra-workout, kind of. And they went out and did an intra, and they called it intra. They didn't even hide the fact, like, performance, fuel, whatever you want to do, just to kind of disguise the name. They went flat out, named it that classic category and made it important again. And much to like the joint, you don't see brands doing that of that size. And they didn't necessarily play into why we chose them as brand of the year in terms of like they did it because of their size, but they made moves. Like I said, I don't think you can name another brand out there might be a few, but on the level that they did with the protein cereal, the beverage, the flavors, the collabs, the all new categories, reformulations, and at the kind of the level to price and competitiveness and distribution they did, you'd be hard pressed to find someone else that could do it. And the formulation was the key part, right? Ghost has always been damn on point with its formulas, and it has not wavered on that. It's stuck to it, and it takes home the win just purely because it's done more in year 7 or 8, I think it is. It's 8 than it did back in the first, second, maybe even third year, which is, again, it's just impressive that you can do that much. And even if you don't count for the fact that it's big and been around for a while, what they did beats out most newcomers, if the majority of newcomers. And so it was well-deserved 2-time brand of the year, one of our 3 now 2-time brand of the years, and the only winner of our brand of the decade award. So it was a huge congratulations to the team, and you will be seeing them at the Arnold Sports Festival once again in the Stack Pavilion. We're going to close out, we're going to sum it up with 2 stories left to go. The first one is going to be nice, short and sweet, but I think it was very cool to see. So Slate is a protein beverage company, but a very different one. It's not your carton, regular RTD bottles. It is a protein drink company that comes in a can. And it's very much like a milkshake style company. So it makes a beverage that has 20 grams of protein, around 100 calories, and it offers a very like milkshake-like experience. So again, it's canned. There's flavors like classic chocolate, caramel latte, and strawberry. So it has this array of, I guess, milky style tastes, things that tend to do well in that sort of format. They came out with a new product called, I can't remember the exact name, it was very odd, Nutrition Shake. Now, that may not sound like too much, but Nutrition Shake is different from the original core shake, I guess you want to call it. Whereas instead of 20 grams of protein, you get 32 grams of protein in the one chocolate flavor, and the calories are 150. So 100 calories versus for 20 grams of protein, you get more than 50% of the protein in the nutrition shake at 32 grams, but you only get 50% extra calories at 150. So it's a leaner shake overall. And they've squeezed it all into the same size can. I thought that was very cool that they're like, hey, same product, more protein. There's very few brands that do that, right? Even in a protein bar, the bar gets bigger. Less protein bar gets smaller. That tends to be the way. I can't think of a brand off the top of my head that's done a drink where like, hey, here's newcomers. Actually, sorry, Japan, Savas I think does it. But I don't think it's an identical size, and it's leaner as well. So yeah, you can now head to Slate, pick up Nutrition Shake, a nice alternative to the core shake, and pretty much get more than 50% protein with only 50% extra calories, and the price, surprise, surprise, is not 50% more. So it's a better value if you're looking for protein to calorie ratio, and these things taste good. And it's only available in the classic chocolate flavor, so it's a very chocolate milk reminiscent experience. So the last story we have, the one behind me, but this is a big one because Barebells has been slinging it these past couple of weeks. So Barebells, the Swedish functional powerhouse, the brand that not the brand that made us make our list of top 5 tasting protein bars, and it's held the #1 spot for the last 7 years, maybe 7 years. They have launched a bunch of new things, and I'm imagining there's a bunch more to come. We're actually going to visit their HQ in the coming months, I believe. They've just dropped flavor after flavor, as well as a lot of other Swedish functional companies. But Barebells doesn't usually kind of have this spree of drops, and that's what we've got in the new year. It's all starting off with one new flavor for their milkshake, which if you ever get to try this thing, you'll understand why we call it the category leader of the protein RTDs. And they have basically taken that classic cookies and cream approach, put it into the milkshake, which I guarantee you will taste good. I've had all of their flavors, even the pear one and the odd obscure things that aren't necessarily, I guess, international friendly, more Swedish. They're still damn good. You still finish them off. You ain't throwing that out. You enjoying that. Might seem weird, but you enjoy it. So yeah, they've now done a cookies and cream flavor. Same profile as the others, 24 grams of protein, reasonable calories. Now, in addition to that, there are 2 new flavors now available for the vegan protein bar, and trying to remember the exact name, caramel peanut and fudge brownie. Now, one of those is not entirely new. Earlier last year, they actually launched caramel peanut in Germany. And in Germany, recently, we got caramel chocolate chip and orange chocolate. So those 2 flavors, the caramel chocolate chip and orange chocolate, were launched exclusively in Germany. As far as I know, they are still exclusive, or at least I think maybe not be Germany, maybe parts of Europe, but not Sweden. Now Barebells in Sweden has launched fudge brownie, which is a completely new flavor, and then caramel peanut, which was one of the other products introduced in Germany early last year. Now, it does not end there. In addition to all of that, Barebells has launched a new flavor called Salty Caramel Crunch over in Sweden. I believe it's hitting neighboring countries like Finland and Norway shortly. It is indeed a caramel flavored protein bar with salty, crispy pieces across the top. It sounds goddamn amazing, and I'm going to be getting my hands on it as soon as I get to that country. And then in the US, specifically GNC, they have got a flavor of the flagship signature Barebells protein bar called Wild Cherry. This is one of the many exclusive flavors put together specifically for America that we've seen from the past 2 years from Barebells. And I gotta commend them that I like how they're doing this. Very similar to how Barebells has done flavors for like Scandinavia over the past couple of years, like just flavors that were not really, I'm pretty sure they did a raspberry licorice one. I'm pretty sure they did that for the bar. That is really a strong Scandinavian flavor, specifically Sweden. And yes, they did do a berry licorice, berry licorice for the soft protein bar. And so the American ones we've seen have all been very geared towards the American market: birthday cake, peanut butter, pumpkin spice, and then now wild cherry, which is more than suitable. So yeah, I got to give it up to them for playing into their audience and the regions of those audiences. So very cool to see. Huge year Barebells are shaping up to have. More product drops in this first couple of weeks than I think any other 2 weeks I've ever followed them. So as always, catch everything we shared on the podcast on the website. That's all we ask you to do. Visit the website multiple times a day, several times an hour maybe, just to make sure you keep up with everything that's happening in the world of sports supplements, energy drinks, functional foods, and whatnot. Make sure you share the website with your mom, dad, brother, sister. Make sure you are booked and going to the Arnold Sports Festival. If you're not, we are doing an online counterpart, or at least we're working on it right now, for everyone in the Stack Pavilion, so you can check out what they've got there. But for this episode, that is it. Catch you next time, and thank you again for listening.